The plane's wheels screeched against the tarmac at LAX, shaking the fuselage as if even the aircraft understood that this was the end of one journey and the uncertain beginning of another. Lena Morales clutched her small, overstuffed backpack tighter to her chest as the announcement came over the intercom. Welcome to Los Angeles. The local time is 7:14 p.m., and the temperature is 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Los Angeles, the city of angels, the land of endless possibilities. And yet, as Lena stepped off the aircraft into the cool California evening, she felt more like a ghost than a dreamer. Her eyes scanned the vast, humming terminal, a forest of signs in English, a language she spoke only with a heavy accent and learned entirely from dubbed American movies and a pocket translation app. She wore a simple dress, the fabric fraying at the hem, and shoes that had walked her through airports in Manila, Tokyo, and finally Los Angeles. Each step had brought her closer to a new life. And yet now that she stood in America, the promised land, her heart beat with anxiety more than excitement. She had come alone. No family, no friends waiting with signs or hugs. Just the address of a rented room in Westlake, scribbled on a piece of paper, and a vague promise of a janitorial job arranged through a distant cousin's connection. She was 26, with a degree in mechanical engineering from the Philippines and years of unpaid overtime logged in Manila's chaotic industrial sector. Yet none of that mattered here. Here, she was just another immigrant. By the time Lena reached her small, dimly lit room, a converted laundry space in someone's basement with a leaky faucet and the constant hum of the building's boiler, it was nearly midnight. She had no bed, just a donated sleeping mat. No dinner, just crackers she had saved from the airplane. She sat on the mat, opened her backpack, and pulled out a framed photograph. Her mother, arms wrapped around Lena's younger siblings, smiling with the kind of pride that hurt to remember. "This is for them," Lena whispered. Her accent bent the words in a way that would later invite ridicule. But tonight, in this little room, they were sacred. The next morning, she woke up before dawn and took the first bus toward downtown. She got lost twice, asked for directions using broken sentences, and was laughed at by a teenager behind the gas station counter. Still, she smiled politely and continued. Her job was in a 23-floor corporate building called Anderson Tower. Modern, sleek, glass-paneled, and towering above the gritty streets around it. She arrived 10 minutes early and waited by the back entrance, where a supervisor named Greg met her. Greg was short, with a pot-belly, a clipboard, and a permanent look of disinterest. He handed her a gray uniform and barely looked up from his checklist. "You clean offices, restrooms, meeting rooms. You get paid every Friday. Don't be late." "Yes, sir," Lena replied. He squinted. "Where are you from?" "Philippines, sir." "You speak English?" She nodded. "Trying, sir. I learn." He sighed and walked away. "Just don't break anything." Lena changed into her uniform in a storage closet and started her shift. She pushed a squeaky cart loaded with cleaning supplies across marble floors, through glass doors, into plush carpeted offices. Everything was shiny, expensive, and foreign. She was invisible to the employees still working late, or so she thought. At 7 p.m., she entered one of the corner offices. It was occupied by a young man in his late 20s with slicked back hair, AirPods in his ears, and a smug look that never seemed to fade. He looked up, startled, then smirked. "You don't have to pretend to understand me," he said, pulling out one AirPod. "Just don't touch my desk." Lena offered a small bow. "Okay, sir." "Sir," he laughed. "Are you a maid or a butler?" Another voice, a woman in the hallway, chimed in. "Did she say lunchroom?" "Oh my God, that's what she said yesterday." Laughter erupted. Lena felt her cheeks burn. She wanted to disappear. But she didn't react. She simply continued cleaning. When she returned to the storage closet that night, she sat on a crate and took out a notebook from her bag. She began to write words she had heard during the day. Lunchroom equals restroom. Pronounce are more strong. Sir equals boss. Don't use for young man. Pretend equals not real. Fake. She practiced the words quietly, over and over, until they felt less foreign in her mouth. She went home, watched English YouTube videos, and repeated the same phrases back to the screen. She downloaded a language app and recorded her voice, comparing it to the sample. Every day she did the same thing. And every day she was laughed at, whispered about, called Lena Leshroom. Weeks turned to months. Lena didn't miss a single shift. She was never late, never complained. Her English improved slowly, painfully. Every new word was a small victory. Every mispronunciation was a lesson. Some nights, after her shift, she volunteered at a local church that offered free English classes. She sat beside grandmothers, day laborers, and nannies, all united by their desire to be understood. Say, entrepreneur. Entrepreneur. Good. Again. She didn't know then how important that word would become. One Friday evening, as she was cleaning the executive floor, she noticed a team meeting through a glass wall. She couldn't hear them clearly, but she saw a presentation on a screen, graphs, bullet points, something about revenue streams and logistics. She paused her cart for a moment. Something clicked. The words looked familiar. They were just like the notes she had seen discarded in the trash a week ago. She had picked them up out of habit. She read everything, trying to learn. Now she understood them. She began to pay closer attention. She picked up patterns. Which departments seemed disorganized? Which managers repeated the same complaints? Which vendors the company relied on? She began connecting dots. She wasn't just cleaning anymore. She was studying. One night, Lena found a discarded binder labeled Q2 Operational Budget. It was filled with red ink and frustrated notes. She took it home and spent hours translating it using her phone, Google, and a dictionary. She began to understand the business side of things. How supply chains worked. How inefficiencies cost thousands. How poor leadership drained morale. Her mind buzzed. This is a system, she said aloud in Tagalog. I can fix systems. She thought about the printer in the basement that jammed every day. The IT guy always came late. The employees always complained. It was the same in the Philippines. She used to fix circuit boards with a soldering iron. Could she fix a printer? She watched a video online and took notes. The next night, the printer jammed again. The same young man with the AirPods cursed under his breath. Lena stepped forward. Excuse me, sir. I can fix. He looked her up and down. You? What are you gonna do? Pray over it. She didn't flinch. I can try. If okay. He stepped aside. Be my guest. 10 minutes later, the printer worked. She walked away silently, but the man just stared after her, stunned. She smiled to herself. It was the first time someone hadn't laughed. That night, Lena began drawing sketches. Plans. Ideas. What if there was a company that offered low-cost office tech support, focused on small businesses, run by people like her? Bilingual. Diligent. Underestimated. She would call it Fix It Pro. She had no capital. No clients. No connections. But she had one thing no one could take from her. The willingness to learn. And from the ashes of humiliation, a new chapter quietly began to write itself. What Lena didn't realize yet was that she had already begun building her first network. The employees who laughed would soon notice how their printers worked better when she was around. Some of them started leaving her thank you notes. One woman, Claire from HR, left her a post-it. Thanks for fixing the scanner. You saved our deadline. You're a lifesaver. That note, small and neon pink, became a token of validation. She kept it in her notebook. And Claire? Claire would become the first person to introduce Lena to someone in the startup world. But that was still far away. For now, Lena kept learning, observing, fixing small problems, and watching the culture around her. It wasn't just about the English language anymore. She was learning the unspoken rules, how Americans networked, how they shared ideas in meetings, how they pitched, and most importantly, how they valued confidence over correctness. She practiced standing tall in the mirror. She would look herself in the eyes and say, "Hello. My name is Lena Morales. I help small businesses solve tech problems quickly and affordably." She said it again. And again. She wasn't there yet. But she would be. She had a dream. And this time she had a direction. Every Friday, Lena received her paycheck in a sealed envelope, handed over with barely a glance by Greg. It wasn't much, barely enough to cover rent, transportation, and the occasional grocery treat like fresh mangoes that reminded her of home. But Lena never complained. With each envelope, she folded away a few dollars into a small, floral tin box hidden under her sleeping mat. Her dream box, she called it. In the evenings after her shifts, while most tenants in the building unwound in front of TVs or chatted on FaceTime, Lena sat cross-legged on the floor, her notebook open beside her second-hand laptop. The laptop had been a gift from a church volunteer named Sister Rita, a kind soul who taught English classes and took a liking to Lena's hunger for knowledge. "You remind me of my mother," Sister Rita had said once. She didn't speak English well either, but she built a restaurant from a food cart. "I believe in women who hustle." And hustle Lena did. She took free online courses in business operations and customer service. She watched TED Talks on leadership and entrepreneurship, pausing every few seconds to jot down words she didn't know. Her notebook was no longer just vocabulary. It had evolved into a diary of ambition. One page detailed common office equipment problems. Another contained a mock business plan for Fix-It Pro. Another had a mind map of skills she needed: communication, networking, tech troubleshooting. One day, during a rare break in the janitor's lounge, Lena overheard two office employees complaining about their department's outdated software. "I swear the whole thing crashes every time I click export. It's like working on a potato. IT takes 3 days to respond." Lena leaned closer. Her heart thumped. "Excuse," she said gently. "I know, maybe fix. I saw video about same issue. Maybe shortcut, temporary." The man, a middle-aged project manager named Robert, raised an eyebrow but smiled. "Really? You know something about databases?" "A little. I study nights," Lena said, her accent still strong but her eyes full of earnestness. He handed her a post-it with the software name. "If you figure it out, you're a hero." That night Lena dove deep. YouTube forums, manuals, she spent 4 hours researching. By morning, she had a possible workaround. She left a note on Robert's desk with simple instructions. By noon, the system was running smoother. Robert was stunned. He came down to the janitor's floor to thank her. "Lena, right? You're wasted down here. Ever think of joining IT?" She smiled politely. "Dream one day. For now I clean." Robert nodded thoughtfully. "Well, if you ever want a recommendation, let me know." It was the first time someone acknowledged her as more than a janitor. As weeks passed, small moments like this began to bloom. Employees started recognizing her, not just as Lena Leshram, the butt of cruel jokes, but as the quiet girl with answers. Claire from HR began chatting with her during late-night coffee breaks. "You're always so calm, Lena, even when those jerks tease you." "I try not let pain stop progress," Lena said. Claire chuckled. "That should be on a t-shirt." One evening, Claire invited her to a small business networking event. "It's at a co-working space near Echo Park. You should come. Lots of startup folks, freelancers. Just casual chats." Lena hesitated. Her heart raced at the thought of entering a room full of fast-talking professionals. "My English still not good." Claire smiled. "You're better than you think. And besides, it's not about accents, it's about ideas." Lena borrowed a modest blazer from a church friend and paired it with her neatest slacks. At the event, she stayed close to the walls at first, listening intently. She took in the way people introduced themselves. "Hi, I'm Greg. I help companies streamline logistics." "I'm Rachel, founder of an e-learning platform." When Claire introduced her to a marketing consultant named Deshawn, Lena stumbled over her words. "I have idea. Company for tech help for office. Cheap. Good. Fast fix." Deshawn smiled warmly. "Sounds like IT support for the underdogs. That's a niche." "Niche. Special market. Focus customers. Like small businesses that can't afford big IT companies." Lena's eyes lit up. "Yes, that is what I want." They spoke for 20 minutes. Deshawn gave her his card and said, "When you're ready, email me. I know folks who fund small ideas." Lena walked home that night with aching feet but soaring spirits. For the first time, her dream had left the notebook and entered the real world. But dreams alone didn't pay the bills. A month later, Greg cut her hours. "Budget changes. Nothing personal. Lena felt the floor give beneath her. Her paycheck was already razor-thin. She sent half home every month to support her siblings. Her younger brother was about to start college. She took a second job cleaning an after-hours diner. The hours were brutal. 6 p.m. to midnight at Anderson Tower, 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. at the diner. Then a few hours of sleep before starting again. Her health began to suffer. She developed a persistent cough. Her eyes were red from fatigue. Sister Rita begged her to rest. "You're burning the candle at both ends." But Lena couldn't stop. Not now. Every dollar she saved went into the dream box. She opened a new tab in her notebook, startup costs. She listed items, business license, website domain, laptop, used tools. She needed $1,200 to launch. She had $340. Then something unexpected happened. Claire from HR approached her one night. "Hey Lena, I mentioned your name to someone. My cousin runs a co-working space in Koreatown. They need someone to maintain the office systems. It's part-time but pays better than janitorial work." Lena's eyes widened. "Really? Me? Yeah. You'd be great. And you'd learn a lot just being around startups." She applied. Nailed the interview. Got the job. The space was filled with energy, colorful walls, coffee machines, young entrepreneurs in hoodies speaking rapid fire about seed funding and burn rates. Lena cleaned and maintained the space but soaked in every conversation. She started helping tenants when their printers jammed, routers failed, or projectors blinked out. Soon they began tipping her, and more importantly, thanking her. One founder named Nico, a Greek-American in his early 30s, noticed. "You ever think of doing this full-time?" he asked. "Tech support for co-working spaces? It's a gold mine. Nobody wants to call Geek Squad and wait 2 days." Lena nodded. "I have idea, but no money, no team." Nico handed her a sticky note. "There's a startup pitch night next month. $5,000 prize. You got a shot. Just need a deck. Deck. Presentation. Slides. Business plan. Can I help you make one?" Lena's heart nearly burst. "Yes, please." For 3 weeks, Lena worked on the pitch after hours. Nico helped refine her idea. Claire edited her grammar. Sister Rita helped with pronunciation. She practiced in front of mirrors, in her tiny room, in the park. She stood on the church stage and rehearsed to the pews. Finally, the night arrived. Lena stood in front of 50 strangers, her hands shaking. "My name is Lena Morales," she began. "I am founder of Fix-It Pro. We help small businesses with office technology fast, cheap, human way." There were stumbles, mispronunciations, but also passion, clarity, heart. By the end, the room applauded. She didn't win, but 3 people approached her. "Have you considered angel investors? Would love to mentor you. Let's connect. I run a co-working chain. Might need your services." Lena went home with a smile that no paycheck could buy. Her dream was now a seedling, and it was beginning to grow. The next morning, Lena awoke to the sound of sirens outside and the soft hum of the city. Her body was sore, her throat dry, but her spirit, undeniably, was alive. She clutched her phone, rereading the 3 messages from the night before. Each was a potential lifeline, a possibility, a spark of something real. But reality, like it often does, struck fast. Her landlord, Mr. Feldman, was waiting outside her apartment door. "Rent's due by Friday, Lena. No extensions this month. I've got new tenants willing to pay more. It's the market." Lena nodded politely, hiding the pinch in her chest. She had $300 saved after her pitch night expenses. Rent was $650. She needed to make up the gap in 4 days, or she'd be on the street. She worked 2 extra shifts at the diner, slept on the bus between jobs. She pawned the bracelet her mother had given her when she left home. A silver bangle with tiny engravings of their family initials. It hurt like hell. But she made the rent. She didn't cry. She wouldn't. Back at the co-working space, things began shifting quickly. Nico introduced her to a woman named Farah, an angel investor with a sharp eye for untapped potential. "So Lena," Farah began over iced coffee, "I've seen 100 startup pitches. Most are flashy, Few are grounded. You're the opposite. Tell me more about Fix-It Pro. Lena did. She explained the vision: affordable tech support for small offices, real-time chat help, subscription-based plans, and friendly in-person troubleshooting. No ticket systems. No weeks of waiting. Just help when you need it, especially for people who don't speak perfect English or know the right technical terms. Farah listened, leaned in, then asked the million-dollar question. Why are you the one to do this? Lena paused. Then she looked Farah in the eyes and answered. Because I was the one they laughed at. I was the one who didn't understand. Now I want to help others like me. To never feel small. To never feel alone with a broken printer or broken English. Farah tapped the table once. I'll invest. Not much to start. But enough. 5,000. And mentorship. Lena's breath hitched. She hadn't expected that. On one condition, Farah added. You register the company, build a team, and launch a pilot within 3 months. No more side jobs. You commit full-time. Can you do that? Could she? Leave her jobs? Bet everything on a dream? Lena closed her eyes. Saw her mother's smile. Her little brother's graduation photo. Her dream box. Her sleepless nights. Yes, she said. I do it. The next week was a whirlwind. She resigned from both her janitorial job and the diner. Greg didn't even look up when she handed in her badge. The other janitors hugged her goodbye. Ruth, the motherly one, whispered, "Make us proud, girl." Lena filed her business paperwork online. Fix-It Pro LLC was born. She rented a small desk in the co-working space and scribbled a new sign for it. Fix-It Pro HQ. It wasn't much, just her laptop, her notes, and a second-hand printer. But to Lena, it was a palace. With Nico's help, she built a landing page. www.fixitpro.tech. Claire helped her craft her first email pitch. Sister Rita prayed over the first invoice template. She reached out to small businesses in Koreatown, Boyle Heights, and Highland Park. Anyone who had once given her a glass of water or a smile while she was mopping floors. I fix your office tech. No big cost. Friendly help. Call me anytime, her messages read. The first client was a nail salon whose Wi-Fi kept crashing. Lena biked over with a toolkit and a smile. She reset the router, updated firmware, organized cables, and labeled devices, all within an hour. They paid her $60 and gave her a free manicure. That night she cried, not out of sadness but disbelief. She just made money on her own. But as quickly as the wins came, so did the setbacks. By month 2, 2 of her biggest potential clients backed out. I like the idea, one restaurant manager said. But we went with a known brand. Your English makes it hard to explain to the team. Another emailed. We need someone more polished. Corporate ready. You're sweet, but maybe not the right fit. Lena was crushed. She stared at her reflection in the mirror. Her accent. Her plain clothes. The bags under her eyes. Was she really not enough? The voices came back. You're just a janitor. You talk like a child. You'll never lead anything. That night, she almost gave up. But a message from Farah arrived just in time. It's normal. First no's are loud. But your yeses are coming. Trust yourself. So she kept going. She built a tiny CRM in Excel to track her outreach. She learned to say, "Hi, this is Lena from Fix-It Pro. How can I help you today?" With confidence. She practiced pitches in front of the bathroom mirror, working on inflection, clarity, tone. And then something shifted. A small design studio in downtown LA booked her for a full month of weekly visits. Then a tutoring center. Then a boutique shop. Word spread. Fix-It Pro was fast, friendly, and made tech support feel human. But nothing could have prepared her for the email that changed her life. It was from Robert, the same project manager she once helped back at Anderson Tower. Hi Lena, it read. Hope you're well. I recently took a job at a mid-sized startup in Pasadena. Our IT guy just quit. We're in a bind. I remembered you helped me once. Any chance you'd be open to a contract? Lena's fingers trembled. She called him. Yes. I come. Anytime. The office was sleek, the tech team overwhelmed. Lena walked in with her basic kit and diagnosed a week's worth of errors in one day. They signed a 6-month contract on the spot. It was her biggest client yet. She was now making more in a month than she had in 3 combined jobs. And best of all, Robert didn't once mention her accent. He introduced her to his team as the smartest fixer I know. One late evening, Lena stayed at the office to finish a report. She wandered into the break room and found a half-empty mug. A familiar logo caught her eye. Anderson Tower. She stared at it. A memory surged, her hands trembling as Greg mocked her accent. The sneers. The whispers. The humiliation. Now here she was, wearing her own company logo, filing invoices, leading calls, making hires. She smiled. It wasn't about revenge. It was about becoming the woman she'd always dreamed of being, fluent not just in English but in confidence, leadership, and resilience. The first day Fix-It Pro officially launched, it wasn't with fanfare or a ribbon cutting. It was just Lena, her second-hand laptop, and a foldable table at the Koreatown co-working space. She had printed a small stack of flyers with the Fix-It Pro logo she'd designed herself on Canva, and taped one to the community board beside the elevator. Her office was the quiet corner next to the vending machines. Still, it was real. She had finally scraped together enough to register the business, build a simple website with Deshawn's guidance, and buy a basic toolkit. Nico had helped her set up a business email, and Claire coached her on pricing strategies. They didn't take a penny. They believed in her. Lena's first client was a stressed-out podcast editor named Molly whose entire setup had crashed hours before a deadline. "Please, I heard you fix things. Can you help?" "I try my best," Lena said with a calming smile. She worked for 2 hours, updating drivers, rearranging wires, even vacuuming dust from the CPU vents. When it finally booted properly, Molly stared at the screen in disbelief. "You're magic," she whispered. "How much do I owe you?" "First job. You decide," Lena said shyly. Molly paid double what Lena expected, and left a glowing review on the Fix-It Pro site. That one review snowballed. Soon, Lena was getting emails daily from solopreneurs, consultants, and small businesses. Most couldn't afford big-name tech support, but they could afford Lena. Fix-It Pro became known for more than just technical help. Clients raved about her patience, her willingness to explain things without condescension, her calming presence when everything was going wrong. "You speak like human," one client told her. "Not like tech robot." Lena smiled at that. Her English wasn't perfect, but her kindness was fluent. Still, success didn't mean ease. For every step forward, there were challenges waiting. Lena struggled with taxes, legal forms, and budgeting. Once, she underestimated a repair job and had to spend $200 of her own savings to replace a client's damaged router. Another time, she arrived for a gig only to be told the company had gone under and couldn't pay her. She cried that night, curled on her mattress, unsure if she was strong enough for this path. But the next morning, she rose as always, prayed quietly by the window, and started again. She learned. She adapted. She signed up for a free seminar on small business finance. She reached out to a local nonprofit for immigrant entrepreneurs and was assigned a mentor, Maria, a fiery Colombian woman who once sold empanadas out of a food cart and now ran 3 bakeries. "You don't need perfect English," Maria told her. "You need courage. And spreadsheets." One afternoon, while installing a new office Wi-Fi network, Lena heard a voice she hadn't in months. "Well, look who finally found a real job." Greg. He had been hired as a consultant for a media startup that just rented a space in the same building. His tie was crooked, his hair thinner, but his sneer was intact. "I guess this janitor gig pays better than I thought," he said with mock surprise. "I run company now," Lena replied, standing tall. "Fix-It Pro. You want help, you pay invoice like everyone." Greg scoffed but said nothing more. As he walked off, she heard one of the younger team members whisper, "That's her? She's amazing. She saved our whole server last week." For the first time, Greg had nothing to say. Business grew. Lena hired her first assistant, a quiet, tech-savvy high school student named Eli who had been helping his grandmother clean offices. She trained him patiently, just as Sister Rita once taught her. When Eli fixed a printer solo for the first time, Lena bought him lunch and told him, "You are part of something now." Fix-It Pro started serving 3 co-working spaces, then 5. She got her own branded van, used but proudly painted. A cousin back home designed a new logo. Her brother, now in college, began helping with the back-end website. The business was still small, but the roots were deep and spreading. And then the call came. "We're expanding nationally," said a voice on the phone. "We're a co-working company looking to contract regional tech support partners. One of your clients recommended you." Lena sat in stunned silence. National. She scheduled a meeting. Claire helped her prep the pitch. Nico coached her through the contract details. Maria reviewed the margins. When the Zoom call ended, Lena stared at the screen. Fix-It Pro had just landed a contract for 6 new cities. She whispered, "Thank you," to no one and everyone. At church that Sunday, Sister Rita asked how business was going. Lena just smiled and said, "The seed has become a tree." She still made mistakes. She still stumbled over words. But now when she did, she laughed too. The jokes didn't sting anymore, because she had built something real, something that helped others, something with her name on it. Fix-It Pro wasn't just a company. It was proof. Proof that you don't need perfect grammar to change lives. Proof that the quiet girl in the janitor's closet had always been more than anyone saw. And she was just getting started. Lena stood backstage, heart pounding beneath her blazer. The velvet curtains rippled slightly as the host's voice echoed through the auditorium. "And now please welcome our keynote speaker, founder and CEO of Fix-It Pro, a nationwide tech support network built from the ground up, Lena Chan." Applause roared. Spotlights blinked. She wasn't supposed to be here. At least, not according to the people who once mocked her accent, dismissed her in meetings, or told her to stick with cleaning jobs. She wasn't supposed to be leading a company, mentoring young immigrants, or standing at a podium in front of hundreds of professionals from the tech world. But she was. As she stepped onto the stage, she remembered everything. The basement cleaning shifts. The customer service gig where she was laughed at. Greg's cruel smirk. The stares during her first repair job. All the nights she doubted herself. The times she was afraid to speak because she might pronounce a word wrong. And then, she remembered her mother's hands. Always moving, always giving. She remembered Sister Rita's kindness, Claire's guidance, Nico's friendship, Maria's mentorship. Eli's eyes lighting up when he fixed his first router. She looked into the crowd, exhaled slowly and began. "Hello everyone. My name is Lena Chan. My English is not perfect. But it's mine. It has brought me here." The crowd fell silent, hanging on to her every word. "I came to this country with a suitcase, a certificate, and an accent. I was invisible. People didn't look at me. Some laughed when I tried to speak. But I listened. I learned. I helped. And little by little I built something." She shared how Fix-It Pro began with just a borrowed laptop and one client. How she reinvested every dollar. How she trained students, partnered with community spaces, and turned tech support into something human. "We didn't grow because we had the best software or the slickest office. We grew because we cared. Because when people called, they didn't get a machine. They got someone who listened. Someone who understood that when your laptop crashes at 3 a.m., it's not just a tech issue. It's your deadline, your business, your hope." After her speech, people lined up to speak with her. Investors, students, and CEOs. Some wanted business cards. Others just wanted to say thank you. That night, she returned to her apartment, now upgraded from the mattress on the floor days, and found an email waiting. Subject line: "Interview request, Forbes Women in Tech." She laughed softly. It was surreal. Then she saw another email from Eli. "Ms. Lena, I fixed that motherboard you sent me. I think I'm ready to lead a team now." Her heart swelled. Over the next few months, Fix-It Pro opened offices in New York, Chicago, and Austin. Each one staffed by young technicians who had been overlooked by traditional hiring systems: immigrants, high school dropouts, single moms, veterans. Lena created a training program called TechBridge to mentor people like her. Those with skills but no voice, talent but no titles. The program became so popular that community colleges began adopting it into their workforce development curriculums. She wasn't just fixing devices anymore. She was fixing systems. At the 10-year anniversary of Fix-It Pro, Lena stood in her own headquarters, a sleek, sunlit floor in a downtown skyscraper. The building once housed a corporate firm that had rejected her job application because of her limited communication abilities. Now her company owned 2 full floors. She walked past walls lined with team photos, handwritten notes from clients, and press clippings. One frame showed a viral LinkedIn post by an ex-colleague from her janitorial days. "I used to work with Lena when she cleaned our floors. She's now the CEO of a company with over 200 employees. I'll never underestimate anyone again." Another wall was dedicated to Fix-It Pro stars. Employees who had grown from interns to managers, many of them immigrants, all of them dreamers. At the top of that wall, Lena had placed a quote, one she had written in broken English years ago on a sticky note, and which had never left her side. "Don't wait to be perfect before you begin. Begin, and you will become." That was her story. Not one of flawless grammar, but of fearless grit. Not about sounding right, but doing right. Lena never lost her accent. She never wanted to. It was the sound of every sacrifice her family made, every insult she turned into fuel, every word she had once been too afraid to say, now spoken loudly and proudly. When people laughed at her broken English, they thought they were mocking a weakness. But they didn't know that what was broken, to them, was building something stronger than they could imagine. An empire. And Lena, the girl once overlooked in every room, now owned the building.